sometimes we cough in the night and we're wondering what exactly is wrong. But then the pandemic came and people became very, very shy to even cough in public. They hide to cough, and when you even mistakenly cough at the bus or somewhere, everybody turns to look at you. They're wondering, oh, has this person caught COVID? So I'm going to be looking at the difference between the cough that comes with TB and the cough that is a symptom of COVID-19. This is Darling Clinic on a Throwback Thursday. You are welcome to the show. Certified Camille is my name. DJ Xtreme is here in the studio, the sound boy killer, and I also have DJ Paul here, who is making sure that we are streaming live on our different social media platforms. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and also on our YouTube platform at Darling TV. So today we're going to be paying attention to tuberculosis. Cough is one of the major symptoms, and from the statistics that we have, the WHO, the global reports WHO did in 2019, TB kills 18 Nigerians every hour. So that means from 11 to 12 we must have lost 18 Nigerians to tuberculosis. So we're going to find out how we can reduce this number on the show this morning. I have Dr. Golibe Ugochukwu here in the studio with me. He's a senior program officer, KNCV Tuberculosis Foundation. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Camille.
Welcome to Darling Clinic.
Thank you very much.
I saw you laughing when I was talking about the cough, and I'm sure you agree with me that a lot of people weren't comfortable coughing anymore. You know how it's, something, maybe you're breathing something and you need to cough.
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, the pandemic has really changed the way we see cough. If it was 2 years ago, nobody would have any problem admitting that they are coughing and all that. But I think we didn't take cough seriously. Well, now, I'm not saying we take it more seriously, but we try to cover it more and all that. But it hasn't really improved the situation. We need to still take cough seriously and get it tested to know what exactly it is that is making us cough.
There seems to be some sort of similarities when it comes to, symptoms of COVID-19 and TB. But I know that there is always a way for you, who is an expert, to know the difference, right? Yeah. Even as they sound similar to the layman or they look similar to the layman, there's a way to spot the difference. So TB cough versus COVID-19 cough.
Okay. Both of them have cough because both of them affect the respiratory system. But the major difference, I would say, is the duration and the nature of the cough. All right. TB is a chronic disease, meaning that it's a disease that lasts for a long time. It is not acute like chronic. So even the cough of TB is chronic. It has lasted for up to at least 2 weeks. The cough of COVID is normally short term. COVID is a disease that attacks you on a short term, and when it does that, you either isolate, or if you don't get any proper treatment, you might end up dying. It kills you fast. So at the end of the day, the cough for TB is at least 2 weeks before we start thinking of TB. COVID cough could be 1 week or less than 2 weeks, and what have you. Then secondly, in terms of the nature, COVID cough tends to be very dry and cause breathlessness. You have this difficulty breathing. One of the common symptoms of COVID patients is this kind of breathlessness that makes them need to be on ventilators and they lack oxygen and all that. However, when it comes to the cough of TB, it's mostly a wet cough, meaning that you cough out something. You're either coughing out mucus or sputum or whatever it is. That's why it's whenever you want to test the cough for TB, you normally collect a sample of your sputum or your mucus that you cough out, and then we test it, and based on the test result, you know whether you may have TB or another ailment altogether.
All right, we're going to look at the other symptoms to actually spot if we have, to suspect if we have TB or not on the show shortly. Stay with us. This is Darling Clinic.
Stay tuned. Darling Clinic will continue shortly.
My name is Dr. Xtreme.
Dr. Mekamulisa.
Dr. Ngoka Stanley. I'm a consultant physician and nephrologist and a member of the Infection Prevention Committee in Federal Medical Center, Owerri.
Dr. Xtreme. I'm a family physician with the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. Dr. Mekamulisa. I'm a consultant pediatrician This period will be really tough for parents having to stay at home with kids.
The coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, is real,
Even though it is not a death sentence.
so believe it. Even though the lockdown has been relaxed a bit, we need to remain vigilant and remain safe.
Please let us take responsibility now. Do it for yourself and the rest of us.
Put on your face mask when you're going out. Observe social distance as much as you can. Observe appropriate sneezing or cough etiquette, which involves sneezing or coughing into your bent elbow and a tissue paper, which should be discarded immediately after use.
Ka anyị niile n'otu n'otu bụrụ ihe ọrụ anyị, bụrụ ya maka anyị onwe anyị na ndị ọzọkwa. And children will be children. They might not always want to do what you want them to do, and that can create stress. But then you need to be careful, because children are adventurous, because they're active. This is the period of home accidents. Burns from fires, falling down, walking through glass doors, even attempting to take your drugs. You just have to be careful.
Use alcohol-based hand sanitizers often, and remember to stay at home if you don't need to go out. Remember, the coronavirus doesn't move, it moves when you move. God bless.
We are back to the program.
Riddle me that, believe it or not, he's coming back. Rocket back on my back, shooting out what Jesus said. Smash your rap, does not tell me where the ceiling's at. No holding us, the church is raptured up, no coming back. And then I mention, I got a mention, go ahead and keep the cash. A matter of fact, you can keep this track, cause where I'm at, there's a new song, we gon' put it on blast. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb of God. Ain't no ceiling hold me when I call upon God. There ain't an ocean too deep that he can't split with his rod. And if you think in your heart, he springs water from rocks. And if you think he ain't God, he'll show you more than just bronze. And if you think he ain't right, watch yourself get left. He gave directions in his spirit to help. He gave us gifts, but we don't act like we're blessed. We all complain when we're put to the test. Here comes the plane, and there won't be a next. You want a ticket, just believe and confess. Know that God is a plane that brings plenty of rest. Stand strong and put your hands in the air. We claiming victory like
when we go back. This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. When we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
the ceiling can't hold us, and neither can the floor. The saints are like eagles, and soon we'll all soar. Don't think that he ain't coming, I see him at the door. The message of the cross is the power of the Lord. The price that it costs, none of us could afford. To those who were lost, you ain't lost anymore. You were found by the Lord way before you detour. He knows exactly where you are and how you got there. He knows the number of the stars and the birds of the air. So before your numbers up, I pray you all believe. Don't be a slave to your sins, he already set you free. So throw your hands in the air.
Stay tuned. Darling Clinic will continue shortly.
Darling FM 107.3.
Dr. Homel's advanced formula gets 21 bioactive nutrients. We go make your body strong. Kakaraka. You get hemoglobin with the use build your blood. Iberian ginseng and B complex for energy and strength. Choline for fatty liver and brain function. Omega-3 for cardiovascular disease. Plus including green tea and lycopene. If you get pregnant, make you consult your doctor before you use them all. Every family needs Dr. Homel's Obonge multivitamins and mineral supplement. It dey for liquid and tablet. Dr. Homel's anaghị agba ya draw.
Ụfọdụ mmanya dị iche iche ekwela nkwa inye gị ume, mana ịṅụọ ya ihe ga-anụ gị olu nwamba. Mana ihe arụ gị chọrọ bụ ihe ga-ada otu a. Mmanya Predator Energy. Predator site taa gawa aha gị bụzi ọnọchie. Tụọnụ m ọnọchie. Naanị 200 naira ka anyị na-ere ya.
Darling FM 107.3.
You are listening to Darling Clinic. We are back to the program.
This morning, we are learning ways to ensure that we stop losing about a thing of our brothers, mothers, sisters, fathers, a thing of our people to tuberculosis. You find out what you need to know. If you have it, you get treatments. You're going to find out all of that on the show this morning. Certified Camille is my name, and I have Dr. Golibe Ugochukwu here in the studio. He's already told us that yes, there's cough is a symptom of COVID and also a symptom of tuberculosis, but the difference is that with COVID cough, it's quite dry, and then it comes with a lot of breathlessness, and then with TB cough, it's wet, and that's why when you need to do a test, they'll have to ask you to bring your sputum so they can detect if you have TB or not. But what are the other symptoms? Is it just cough? When you notice when you have this cough and it's productive, do you go for TB test, or are there other symptoms, Dr. Golibe?
Okay, if you have cough and it's productive and it has stayed up to 2 weeks, I would encourage you to go for a TB test. The TB test is done in various government hospitals and is done free of charge. So if you walk to any nearby health center and tell them that please you would like to do a cough test, they will collect the sample from you and then they will go ahead and run the test. But other symptoms of tuberculosis apart from the cough includes fever. The fever for tuberculosis is what we call low grade. It's not very high or hot, and then it lasts for at least 2 weeks. So most times in our mentality, when we hear fever, we think of malaria. So if you do get fever, fine, you think it's malaria, go ahead and treat yourself for malaria. Because if it was malaria that was bothering you, it wouldn't last for up to 2 weeks. By the time you take the treatment, your fever would have resolved. But when you have now taken your malaria medication and yet 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks, you are still having that fever, you take paracetamol, it goes and comes back, you should be also thinking about tuberculosis. Another common symptom of tuberculosis is also weight loss. You understand? It's a chronic symptom. Like I said, TB is a chronic disease. You will just notice that you are eating normally, you don't have any reduced appetite, but yet you are losing weight. You notice that your clothes are now loose on you and you really can't explain why and all that. Then it could actually be tuberculosis. And then one very marked symptom of tuberculosis is also what we call drenching night sweats. It means a situation where you're in your room, you're sleeping at night, and the weather is cool, maybe the windows are open, blowing, and yet you're still sweating. Now that's not normal. I know sometimes the weather might be hot and we might be sweating. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you are relaxed in your room at night, because normally in the evening the weather tends to get cool. Probably by 12 midnight, 1 a.m. your windows are open, breeze is blowing, every other person is dry, but you are sweating. Then you should also think of TB. And the reason why we tend to look out for night sweats is that the person that has it may be sweating during the day, but we wouldn't really know whether it's TB because during the day the sun is shining. It could be 1,001 things that could make you sweat during the day, and we all sweat during the day normally. But when you are sweating at night under a relaxed atmosphere, we call that drenching night sweat, and you should also think of tuberculosis too.
They call tuberculosis the silent killer because most times we are in our communities. It's just like how people usually develop cough and they keep going to the pharmacy stores to get cough syrup. They keep taking cough adder, nazana. They would, before some start taking some herbal mixtures, but then before it, the person dies and might have infected a lot of people. I'm seeing that about 47 Nigerians develop active TB every hour.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Very
so
sad.
that means that some of us might go to the market and meet someone, and I'm even grateful for the use of face mask. I don't know if it's it's also what's it called now? It's an advantage for the fight against TB.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for all of us who go out every day and might not know who has TB or not, how does it spread? If you know how it spreads, you also know how to protect yourself.
Okay. TB is basically an airborne disease. You understand? So it spreads in the air. So that's why when we talk to our patients or when we give health talks to people, we say that one of the best methods to prevent TB is to live in a properly ventilated area. Now, the TB bacilli could be in the air, but if the area is properly ventilated, the concentration of the bacilli in the air is drastically reduced. And so, even if you inhale the bacilli, you will be inhaling a minute quantity of which your body immune system can fight and handle. But when you are now living in a very packed place with poor ventilation, and somebody there is coughing, and the person could be coughing, you think it's normal cough, but it could be the TB bacilli he's releasing, then you now have a concentration of the bacilli in the air, and with that concentration in the air, you inhale it. Depending on the state of your immunity, you may not be able to fight it, and then, like you said, you develop active tuberculosis. Some of us, like I may know that growing up, some of us received the BCG vaccination, which was supposed to give us immunity against TB. But the problem with it is that it only lasts for about 10 years. It's given to children because the children's immune system is not properly developed. So at the end of the whole day, you need that vaccine to build up the immune system to fight the disease. So it lasts for like 10 years because they believe that by the time you are older than that, you can now fight your immune system can fight the TB bacilli. But when you now come down with some things that may affect your immune system, like maybe diabetes, you come down with cancer, you're taking drugs and all those things, or maybe you're just sick normally with malaria or whatever, your immune system is compressed and you have a load of the bacilli in the air, it now tends to come down with TB. So I would advise people to prevent yourself from getting TB. Face masks is wonderful. I don't wear face masks for COVID, I wear it for tuberculosis. You understand? So I encourage people, wear your face masks, maintain your social distancing, wash your hands and use all those hand sanitizers, alcohol based. People do it for COVID, but I tell them it is simple hygiene. It is simple hygiene that prevents a whole lot of other diseases, including tuberculosis. Then always let us try and open our windows, make sure that wherever we are is properly aerated and ventilated, and then healthy living. Eat healthy, exercise, live healthy, and ensure that your body immune system is top notch to fight whatever you encounter out there.
I do know that you sometime last year had a mobile truck that moved from one community to another to help identify, TB cases, and then help people get treatment. How did that go? Did it help in? Did it help in any way in this fight against TB?
It was a huge success. I mean, I was actually sad to see the truck leave. The truck we were able to visit before the NSAS protest started that curtailed our movement. We were able to visit like up to 10 LGAs, including Okigwe LGA and places within Owerri. We were able to go inside the community. We were able to enroll people, screen them using our mobile chest X-ray, and test them for tuberculosis. And we're able to get people we're able to get people that diagnose people that had TB. In addition to that, we're also able to test for COVID, because the aim of the truck it was an integrated COVID-19 tuberculosis testing that we wanted to carry out. And I had fun in the truck. I even went for screening. I was screened. I thought that yes, it's good to check myself and all that. And people in the community appreciated it. The federal government, the local government staff we worked with, the state government people we worked with, they really, really appreciated the truck, the impact it had, because it was more or less free testing. People that wanted to test have to go to the hospital, but it was like a mobile hospital, brought closer to their home, closer to their doorstep, and I think it was good. I don't know, I'm hoping that
it would come back.
Yes,
I can't wait for it to come back, because it also reduces stigma. You know how there's a lot of stigma around TB. You find someone who is coughing, someone who has coughed for more than 2 weeks, but this person just doesn't want to go get checked out. And we hear all the time that TB is curable, but this person still doesn't want to go and check him or herself out, and it baffles me a lot. Why do you think that happens?
I think is a lot of, I'll call it ignorance, lack of enlightenment. People feel that TB has been associated with a lot of things like curse from the gods, something we inherited. So there has been a lot of stigma attached. But I tell people there is nothing to be stigmatized about. It is a disease like any other. It's a bacterial infection. And once you take your treatment for 6 months and you stick with it, you're healed. Yeah, and all that. But we have this mentality of it's not my portion, I can't get it. But the point is that it's not a matter of whether it's your portion or not. It's a matter of you're a human being. Human beings fall sick. It happens every day. And when you fall sick, you go and get tested. You go and get treated to get better. So people should just know that you can come down with any ailment. People that come down with it are human beings like us, and they didn't do anything wrong. You understand? It just happened to them. And when it happens, we take control, and then we make sure we go to the nearest healthcare center, we get tested, and we get treated appropriately for it. That's all.
All right, so we're going to listen to a story of a survivor, and we hope that you listen to it and get one or two lessons from it.
Darling Clinic Raving Report.
In the year 2016, I contracted this disease unknowingly. I never knew that what was disturbing me was the sickness. So as a matter of fact, I saw myself going down on daily basis. I treated, if I go to lab, what they will see is malaria, typhoid. I will treat it, take injection. Still, after a week, the thing will continue. I have to go for test. Since I got there, I told the lab technician, the doctor, that he should conduct all the lab tests in me. I spent 15,000 something there. So after conducting a series of tests in me, he told me that I should come back the next day. I said okay. The next day I came back. He told me that all he discovered is tuberculosis. I told him that what does it mean? I've not heard about it before. He explained to me. I asked him, how can I be treated? He said, not that as if they can treat it. They can treat it, but it will consume a lot of money. I should go to FMC. They work with World Health Organization. They will treat me, take proper care of me. When I got there, they saw it and told me they referred me to tuberculosis department. So I went to that place. They explained everything to me. They told me that the thing just entered, that I would take drugs for 4 months. I said okay. I didn't pay 1 naira there. It was free. So they gave me the drugs for 1 month. Told me that every month, as soon as this one finishes, I should come back and take another one. So I went home. I took it for 1 month. I saw myself coming back to life. I thought I have recovered. So I never went there again. I relaxed. 2016 went. So as soon as we entered 2017, February, the thing came heavily to me. The thing resurfaced to my body. So I was down, totally down. I have to rush back to FMC. As soon as I got there, they said to me, where have I been? I have nothing to tell them, no excuse to give. They said that before they will issue another drug to me, that I must undergo another test. They did that, conducted the test in me, and all they discovered is that I have graduated from the first stage to the second stage, which is deadly, the drug resistance. So I said okay, I became afraid. They told me now that I will take drugs, I will come and get that, I will be admitted there in FMC for 4 months. I will take injection for 4 months there and take drugs for 4 months. After that, I will continue the drugs for another 4 months. May God bless the nurses there and the doctors. They took care of us very well, like their own brothers and sisters. The advice I have to give to people that are victims of this sickness today is this: never you give up. Never they give up. Let them not see their condition as if their own has ended. Tuberculosis is curable. By the grace of God, today I'm here and alive in the land of the living. But if not God, I would have been dead some years back because of this sickness, tuberculosis.
Darling Clinic Roving Report. You are listening to Darling Clinic.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Darling Clinic now.
Really quite a touching story there, but good news. He got cured of tuberculosis, and I'm sure you might have encountered a lot of people who got cured as well, Dr. Golibe.
Yeah, we see them every day in our clinics. The clinic that we support, my organization, KNCVTB Foundation Nigeria, we work with the Imo State government, and we work to support them to find TB cases and to also place them on treatment. So we see a lot of them, and I just want to say tuberculosis is real, but it is highly treatable. People take the drugs and get better. Now, the young man in the story was supposed to be on drugs for 6 months, you understand, oral drugs. But at the end of the whole day, because he didn't finish his medication and he stopped, he now developed the more resistant form of the sickness, and that was what plagued him. And that one is more deadly, it kills faster, and is more difficult to treat. That was why he now had to be admitted to the hospital, and he was placed on injections, daily injections for 4 months. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of taking injections. I prefer to swallow my tablets oral.
Mine is the other way.
Oh, the other way. So you don't mind taking injections for 4 months?
Oh, no, it's too much. No. I would rather take the pills and
So that is what happened to him. Because he developed the resistance form, he had to be admitted on daily injections for 4 months, and that is not funny. So I thank God that at least he survived, and I just hope, and I'm just using it as a medium to every other person out there, that please, if you're on treatment for this, don't stop it. Make sure you finish it. I've also had encounters like his own where people come, they take it for like 2 weeks, 1 month, and they go because they are feeling good. The drugs for tuberculosis, they are very effective. Like, once you start the drugs, within 2 weeks, you will see changes in your body, especially when you're suffering from TB. You will see positive changes. People now use it and they're like, no, I don't have it and all that. But I tell them, if you don't finish your medication, you may develop a resistant form. You may come down with it again, and this one to be more deadly. Another thing we are battling with in the tuberculosis program is the drug-resistant tuberculosis, the more deadly form of the TB. And the treatment for it is more expensive, and it is more painful for the patient too. So it's a burden that we are trying to avoid in every single possible way by making sure that our patients get complete treatment whenever they are diagnosed.
We're going to look at how the pandemic impacted, the progress towards ending, TB shortly. But I would have to give you the phone number so that when we get back, you'll call in and ask your questions. It's 0815 050 1073, 0815 050 1073, or you can find us on our live stream on Facebook at Darling FM 1073. Ask your questions there, and Dr. Godibe would respond to them.
Stay tuned. Darling Clinic will continue shortly.
All over the land.
program. Darling Clinic now.
Women of Grace, rise up and praise Him here on 107.3 Darling FM. This is Darling Clinic, and we have actually, started off this conversation. You've missed quite a bit if you just tuned in. So all you need to do is go online on Facebook, and you can watch the live stream, so you can see where Dr. Golibe started and where we are at the moment. We want to look at the impact the pandemic has had on the progress towards ending TB, because the COVID-19 pandemic came and saturated the media. Everyone was talking about it. I do not know if TB got as much attention that as COVID-19 is getting currently. So how is that affecting the progress?
Okay, the pandemic sets the fight against TB back by years. It was very, very hard for us last year working in the TB program. Let us start with the stigma. The pandemic brought a stigma against cough. TB already had a stigma, but then nobody associated, nobody had this strong pandemic. But once you now had the COVID-19 pandemic, it brought a strong stigma against cough. So people didn't want to come out and say they were coughing. One of my colleagues told me that where he was working somewhere in northern Nigeria, if a health worker asks you in the facility whether you're coughing, everybody is always denying it. People deny cough. They don't want to have anything to do with cough. In Imo State here, some of our ad hoc staff to volunteers go into the communities to screen people for tuberculosis, and they cannot ask any question about cough, because once they ask question about cough, everybody thinks it's COVID. So because of the stigma around the pandemic, it made it difficult for us to try to identify people that had the symptoms of TB. It also made it difficult for people that had the symptom of TB to come out and talk. So we now have to come up with innovative ways. Cough is probably the most common symptom of TB, but we now have to think of other symptoms. Or we now found ways of probably starting with how are you doing as health workers, asking for other symptoms before we now bring in cough, so that we don't make it look as if that was what we came for in the first place. So it really, really made it difficult. That was why, in a way, we have now tried to, in as much as some people will criticize, why are you associating yourself with COVID, because it already has a stigma attached to it, but we don't have a choice. COVID and TB share similar symptoms. So at the end of the whole day, we now found ways to work with COVID, and then even when talking to clients or people in the community, we always let them know that not every cough is COVID. There are 1,001 other ailments that present with cough, and let our mind just remove from COVID, saying that once somebody is coughing, it could be COVID. So we had to spend the whole of last year working around it, even as the various media was talking about COVID and trying to bias people's mind from saying that COVID is a death sentence. We also try to leverage on that. And
it's not a death sentence.
Sorry, COVID is not a death sentence. We also try to leverage on that and telling them, yes, how much as COVID is not a death sentence, how do you even know you have COVID? You understand? Just because you are coughing doesn't mean you have COVID. There are 1,001 things that could cause the cough. So we leveraged on that, and we found a way to actually make people come out and actually say, yes, I'm coughing, I want to get tested, or I want to look at myself and check myself. So it wasn't easy, but I think gradually we are making a small comeback in the fight against TB. At least the national statistics based on the last global report shows that in as much as there was a major setback because the case finding dropped nationwide, we'll gradually will win this battle in the long run.
Do you think that there are more creative ways we can, pass this information, maybe such as movies, drama, in a way that, people who are in the rural communities would understand? Is there a strategy to ensure that people who are in prison, because I'm looking at, you mentioned ventilation, and you know how our prisons are, or people who are at the psychiatric homes in Ongopala, places like that where you have a lot of people in an enclosed space. Is there a strategy to ensure that, everyone gets the message?
Okay, yes. In terms of strategy, I know that we have support from international donors. One of the donors that supports us is called the USAID, United States Agency for International Development. They are supporting my foundation in that. And in addition to that, they are supporting there's another project called the Breakthrough Action Project. It's geared towards what we call behavior change communication. So the project looks at various creative ways to find a way to pass the message of the symptoms of TB across to people. You understand? One of our colleagues once complained that so many people know about HIV, but very few people know about tuberculosis. So yes, we are using all forms of media, even though not us, my organization directly, but in the TB program, we use radio jingles, we use dramas, movies and all that. There are some of them that I normally share on my WhatsApp page and all that to let people know that, look, if you are coughing, you shouldn't ignore it. Get tested. So basically, the media messages tend to center on cough because it's the most common symptom.
Yeah.
And then the media messages is trying to get people to take cough seriously, and also and recently to also let them know that not every cough is COVID. That any cough you have, go to the hospital, get tested. That is just a summary.
We're going to get. I'm sorry to interrupt. We're going to get. If there's a toll-free line, we're going to try to get that. So when we notice these things, we can call, or we have someone close to us, showing any of the symptoms you've mentioned. We can just, put a call through to say, okay, who do I go to? What do I do now? We're going to get that from you, and finally highlight again the importance of getting tested. Stay with us. This is Darling Clinic.
Stay tuned. Darling Clinic will continue shortly.
Darling FM 107.3.
Mommy, let's play football. Mommy, help me push my bicycle. Mommy, jump rope. Mommy, here, let's play hide and seek. Mommy, let's have some Twisco. You need it.
It's easy to spot a Twisco kid because they seem to be so active. Introducing new Twisco chocolate drink powder, a unique blend of cocoa, milk, and malt, fortified with Enofort, a special blend of vitamins and minerals that helps give kids the vitality they need for an action-packed day. Twisco. Power your dream.
Some energy drink they promise power, but them be like this. When waiting you really need now. New Predator energy drink. Rule your kingdom. Now only 200 naira.
Darling FM 107.3.
We are back to the program.
Dr. Golibe is right here in the studio, and he's going to share with us the toll-free line. If you notice any of the symptoms of TB, or you're confused, you're not sure, you have this cough, or you're not sure what it is, you can call that number to get clarification.
So the toll-free number, like you said, is a number you can call free of charge. You don't need to have any form of airtime on your phone. Once you have a registered SIM, you can call the number, and then you get access to TB information. If you want to know where you can get the test free of charge, or even the treatment, you can also get that from the toll-free line. So I'm going to call out the toll-free number. It is 0800 225 5282. I'm going to repeat the toll-free line again. It is 0800 225 5282. Yes, so that's the toll-free line, and then it gives you access to information on tuberculosis symptoms and any other thing you may want generally.
Is it possible that someone, well, I know you mentioned if the cough is up to 2 weeks or more than 2 weeks. If the cough is up to a year, is it still possible that it's TB?
Definitely it is. TB cough is chronic. So if you don't get treated, you keep on coughing and you probably end up dead. I mean, in clinic, I've seen people coughing for up to a year, and that was when they now decide to come to the hospital. You understand? So what we see in the clinic is more of people that are coughing for up to a year. Nigerians, we don't take cough seriously. Exactly, that's the major challenge. So somebody coughing for 2 weeks won't take it seriously. He's thinking of other remedies, cough syrup, herbal tea, and what have you. And then probably even if it lasts for up to a month, he goes to the chemist shop, they mix some drugs and all that. So by the time he shows up to the hospital to see a doctor, many a times 6 months up to a year. So we have seen those, and it was still tuberculosis.
All right, so I do hope that you've taken notes. We see that Mokeji Don Frank is listening to us all the way from Philippines. Hi, it's evening over there. Good evening to you too. I'm sure you're taking notes, and the rest of the people who are watching us live on our Facebook platform. It's almost time for us to wrap up the show. So the importance of getting tested. Why should I get tested?
You need to get tested to know what's wrong with you. Once you have an ailment, when you are coughing, when you are not feeling well, you can't just assume it is this or it is not serious. You can't just wait for it to come and drag you down till you are down and you're about to die. The earlier you get tested, the earlier you diagnose what's wrong with you, the earlier you know whether it's tuberculosis, and even if it is not tuberculosis, the earlier you can identify what is wrong and treat yourself. We really need to stay conscious, to stay alive and stay healthy.
We need to stay conscious, stay alive, and stay healthy. Really important. I'll give you the toll-free line again. It's 0800 22 55282. Yes, 080 02 25 5282. Thank you so much for taking note of that, and thank you as well to you, Dr. Golive Ugochukwu, for joining us this morning. You've made it quite simpler. We understand better now. We would continue to put this, on the front burner to ensure that we save more lives. I don't want to be losing people to tuberculosis.
Neither do I. I don't want to either. Thank you very much for having me here. Okay.
Dr. Golive Ugochukwu is a Senior Program Officer, KNCV Tuberculosis Foundation. At 12 o'clock, our Pidgin English News Niger today will be on your radio. You don't want to miss it. You want to know what's happening around the world. So stay tuned. And at 12:15, you're going to be listening to Jams and all of the trending stories till 3 p.m. Stay tuned and stay safe. Certified Camille is my name. Good looking out to DJ Xtreme, who, the vibe on the show today is quite different. I love it. And to DJ Paul, who made sure that we are live on Facebook and YouTube.
Start your afternoon